I want you to think about the very first sound you ever made.
Like right after you were born.
Yeah, exactly. Not your first word, but that first instinctive cry when you entered the world.
Oh, right.
What if that sound wasn't just a biological byproduct of having lungs?
Right.
What if that hum, that cry, and arguably the oldest sounds humanity ever made as a species were actually pieces of highly sophisticated ancient technology?
It's crazy because it completely reframes how we experience our own bodies.
Yeah, totally.
We are just so conditioned to think of sound simply as a vehicle for language, or like just the ambient noise of things colliding.
Right, like a car door slamming.
Exactly. We
Yeah.
treat it as completely secondary to physical reality.
Well, today's sources plunge us directly into the deep end of the Shiva tradition. We're doing a deep dive into something called sound Dharma.
Which is just a fascinating topic.
It really is. We are going to look at how ancient mystics chanting in the Himalayas thousands of years ago didn't just, stumble upon a relaxing hobby. They actually managed to perfectly anticipate today's most cutting-edge neuroscience.
Yeah, because in these traditions, sound is not merely a tool for communication. It is considered the foundational building block of reality itself.
Which sounds huge.
It is. We're taking texts written millennia ago and placing them right next to modern brainwave entrainment data. And the overlap isn't just coincidental, it's structural.
To really grasp how sound builds reality, the sources trace this back to its oldest recorded intentional use, which is shamanism.
Right, the shamans.
And the detail that really stood out to me wasn't about the rhythms themselves, but how early shamans actually categorized their instruments.
Oh yeah, the naming convention.
Right. They didn't view their drums as musical devices. They literally referred to the drum as a horse or like a canoe.
Wow.
Yeah, they believed the instrument physically transported their consciousness to other realms.
And while modern science uses a totally different vocabulary, the shamans were remarkably accurate about the transportation aspect.
Really? How so?
Well, they were utilizing a highly specific mechanical intervention. Their drumming heavily relied on low-frequency, repetitive beats.
Okay.
The goal was never to create like a catchy melody to entertain the tribe. The goal was to induce a profound biological state change.
It makes me think of a biological metronome.
Well, that's a good way to put it.
Yeah, like if you put several ticking pendulum clocks in a room together, eventually, through the transfer of kinetic energy, they all sync up to the same rhythm.
Yes, exactly.
So it sounds like the shamanic drum acts as this overpowering metronome for the environment. It essentially forces the human brain to abandon its normal frequency and sync up with a new, altered rhythm.
The scientific term for that is neural oscillation entrainment.
Neural oscillation entrainment.
Right. And your metronome analogy is spot on. The brain's electrical activity literally begins to mirror the rhythm of the auditory stimulus.
That is wild.
Yeah, it is. But the evolution of this idea is what we really need to focus on today.
Okay.
Because if you take that primal shamanic drum beat and move forward in history to the highly sophisticated philosophy of Kashmir Shaivism, you find the exact same realization.
They just explained it differently.
Exactly. They articulated it through a much more complex metaphysical lens. They call this underlying concept Spanda.
Spanda. Yeah, the translations in the texts we looked at describe this as stable movement or the pulsation of consciousness.
Right.
But on its face, that sounds like a contradiction. How can a movement be stable?
So imagine a tuning fork.
Okay.
When you strike it and set it on a table, it appears entirely stable.
Right.
It is holding its physical space perfectly, right?
Yeah, it just looks like a piece of metal sitting there.
Exactly. Yet, on a micro level, it is vibrating intensely. It is pulsating.
Oh, I see.
Kashmir Shaivism posits that the entire universe operates exactly like that tuning fork.
Okay, well.
This leads to the concept of Shabda Brahman, which translates to the universe's sound. They argued that the ultimate reality isn't solid, static matter. It's an eternal, pulsating vibration.
When I was reading the sources on this, a massive parallel jumped out at me.
Yeah.
If they're describing the universe not as solid objects, but as a continuous pulsation, that sounds suspiciously close to what physicists are describing today with quantum fields.
Oh, completely.
Are these ancient texts essentially mapping out the exact same territory?
They're pointing at the exact same reality, just using the vocabulary of their era.
Right. They didn't have particle accelerators.
Exactly. Today, we know that at a quantum level, there are no solid, tiny billiard ball particles.
Sure.
There's an underlying field, and what we perceive as different particles, like an electron or a quark, They're simply different vibrational wavelengths within that field.
It's all just vibration.
Yes.
Yeah.
The ancients were asserting this thousands of years ago. Reality is an ocean of frequency. Solid matter is just an illusion born of our limited perception of those frequencies.
So, okay, if reality is just frequency, how do we systematically interact with it?
That is the big question.
Right. And that brings us to the anatomy of sound itself within the human body. The texts break down how a sound manifests through 4 distinct levels.
Yes, the Vak-tattva.
The Vaikhari, right?
It's a brilliant roadmap, honestly.
Mhm.
It tracks how an abstract impulse condenses into physical reality.
Okay, walk us through it.
To understand it, we should probably work backwards from the most dense physical level up to the most subtle.
Makes sense.
So the 4th and lowest level is Vaikhari. This is the crude spoken word.
Like what we're doing right now.
Exactly. It is the physical sound wave leaving the vocal cords, vibrating the air, and hitting an eardrum.
The actual physical phenomenon we are utilizing right now to have this conversation.
Right. But
Yeah.
take a step back from that spoken word.
Okay.
Before a word hits the air, it exists as Madhyama. This is the intermediate level.
Oh, so like your inner monologue.
Yes, exactly. Think of it as your inner monologue. It is the unvoiced thought that still has a clear linguistic sequence and structure. And tradition actually places its resonance around the heart space.
Okay, so it's the fully formed sentence sitting in your head a millisecond before you decide to open your mouth and say it out loud.
You've got it. Now go a step deeper to the second level, which is Pashyanti.
Pashyanti.
At this stage, we lose language entirely.
Wait, really? No words at all?
No words. Think about that flash of pure insight you get right before you know what you want to say, but you haven't assigned any vocabulary to it yet.
Oh, I hate that feeling, but I know exactly what you mean.
Right. It's a mental visual, a raw feeling, a faint whisper of an intention. It's the pure concept.
Okay, I'm tracking the progression from dense to subtle, but this brings us to the final, highest level,
Pada.
para. The sources locate this at the base of the spine, the root chakra, and describe it as the eternal, unmanifested sound.
Right.
I have to push back here, though.
Okay, go for it.
According to this philosophy, the highest, most foundational form of sound is complete silence.
Yeah, that's what they claim.
I mean, that feels like a paradox designed just to sound deep. You know what I mean?
It is a deliberate paradox, sure. But it makes mechanical sense if you follow the logic of vibration.
Oh, so.
Go back to our tuning fork. If a frequency becomes high enough or fundamental enough, it actually exits the spectrum of human hearing.
Oh, okay. Like a dog whistle.
Exactly like a dog whistle, but on a cosmic scale. Para is the potential energy for all sound. It is the silent primordial canvas upon which all other vibrations are eventually painted.
That makes a lot more sense.
Yeah. In this tradition, true mastery of sound isn't about volume or eloquence. It's about tracing your consciousness back to that silent foundational pulse.
And they didn't just leave this as an abstract philosophy. They engineered very specific tools to interact with these different levels of sound within the body.
They absolutely did.
Which brings us to the Bisha mantras, or the seed mantras.
The Bisha mantras are where this whole thing shifts from philosophy to applied bioengineering.
I love that term, applied bioengineering.
It's what it is. These are single syllables.
Yeah.
They strip away conversational meaning entirely in favor of physical function.
Let's walk through the progression because it's incredibly methodical. It moves straight up the body's midline.
Like through the chakras.
Yeah. So you have Lam at the root chakra for grounding, Vam at the sacral for the flow of creativity.
Ram at the solar plexus for power.
Right. Yam at the heart for compassion, Ham at the throat for expression, and Om at the third eye for intuition.
Yep, that's the sequence.
When I first read this, I have to admit, it sounded highly metaphorical to me.
And that's a common misconception. For you listening, it is crucial to understand that these aren't metaphors.
They're literal.
Highly literal. Chanting these specific syllables is entirely mechanical.
How does that work physically?
The vowel shapes and the consonant strikes are designed to create targeted physical vibrations. You are using sound waves to clear energetic and physical friction in the body's fascial and neural pathways.
It's so funny. I couldn't help but picture an ultrasonic jewelry cleaner.
Ha! That's a great visual.
I know. Like, you aren't verbally persuading the tarnish to leave the silver. You are dropping it into a bath and physically vibrating the dirt out of existence.
Exactly.
So it sounds like yam isn't a magic word that makes you compassionate. It's a frequency that physically vibrates the chest cavity to relieve tension around the heart and lungs.
That is the exact mechanism. You are modulating the density of your own physical and subtle bodies through targeted resonance.
Which means we need to look at how Shiva's sound Dharma structures this practice.
It is highly organized.
It really is. The sources outline a framework that is essentially 1 word, 2 prayers, 3 chants.
A very clear progression.
Yeah. If we use the metaphor of building a sonic architecture, the 1 word is laying the foundational concrete. And that word is OM. But the texts break this single syllable down further into 3 distinct phonetic parts. A-U-M.
Let's look at the physical mechanics of those 3 parts because it's fascinating.
Okay.
The A sound starts in the back of the throat, right? Your mouth is wide open.
Ah.
Exactly. The texts say this represents the waking state consciousness directed outward into the physical world.
Okay, that makes sense.
Then you transition to U, which rolls the sound forward along the palate. The lips start to funnel.
Ooh.
Right? This represents the dreaming state, where consciousness begins to internalize, turning inward.
And then the final M sound.
The lips are completely sealed to that one. The vibration moves up into the nasal cavity and resonates within the cranium.
Oh, I can feel that.
This is deep sleep, complete withdrawal from the external environment.
Wow.
And importantly, the chant doesn't actually end on the M. It ends on the silence that follows it.
The parasound.
You got it.
Yeah.
The reality that transcends waking, dreaming, and sleeping.
Okay, so OM lays the foundation. Then the practitioner moves to the 2 prayers to frame the walls.
Om Namah Shivaya and Mahadeva Shiva Shambho.
Right. What is the mechanical purpose of these daily rhythmic repetitions?
Their function is to regulate the flow of consciousness.
Regulate it how?
You use the rhythm of the prayer to systematically bring the awareness down from the active mind, settle it into the heart space, and then draw it back up.
Like a circuit.
Yes. It acts as a biological syncing mechanism, aligning the practitioner's internal rhythms with the 5 fundamental elements of nature that the prayers reference.
Okay, the foundation is set, the walls are framed. Now we bring in the demolition crew.
Here we go.
The 3 epic chants. And man, diving into the source material for the Shiva Tandava Stotram was intense.
It's a lot.
The backstory alone is wild. According to the tradition, this chant wasn't composed by some serene monk on a mountain. It was written by Ravana, the 10-headed demon king.
It is one of the most remarkable and rhythmically complex pieces of Sanskrit literature in existence. Oh yeah, and its intensity is entirely by design.
The imagery is just incredibly visceral. The text paints a picture of Shiva performing a cosmic dance of absolute destruction and simultaneous creation.
It's a very chaotic scene.
Very. He has the entire Ganges River swirling violently in his matted hair. He is wearing venomous snakes as garlands around his neck.
Right.
There is actual fire bursting from his forehead that burns the god of love, Kamadeva, to ash.
It's basically an apocalyptic scene.
Yeah. And driving this entire thing is the relentless driving sound of his drum. My question is, why use such violent, chaotic imagery for a spiritual practice that is supposed to lead to enlightenment?
Well, because enlightenment isn't always achieved through gentle relaxation.
Fair point.
Sometimes, to construct a new psychological framework, you first have to aggressively demolish the old one.
Ah, the demolition crew.
Exactly. This specific chant is engineered to shatter the practitioner's mundane reality and break down the ego.
How does it do that?
Think about it. When your mind is fully occupied by reciting complex Sanskrit rhythms about cosmic rivers, venomous snakes, and deities being reduced to ash,
Yeah?
your daily anxieties about a work deadline or like a traffic jam suddenly lose all their gravity.
That is so true. It totally dwarfs the personal narrative. You really can't simultaneously worry about your inbox and deeply conceptualize the burning of the god of love.
That is the whole point. Alongside the other 2 chants in this trio, the Lingashtakam, which acts to violently hone spiritual focus,
Okay.
and the Mahamrityunjaya mantra, which is known as the death-conquering chant, utilized for profound cellular healing.
Heavy stuff.
Very heavy. These are not just poetic verses. They are heavy sonic machinery. They are built to structurally deconstruct and reconstruct the human psyche.
Which really forces us to look at the modern scientific evidence provided in our sources.
Let's look at the data.
Yeah, because it's one thing to claim a chant shatters the ego metaphysically, but if this is a physical technology, as you suggest, we should be able to measure that reconstruction in the body. Yeah.
And we can.
So when someone finishes chanting these intense verses and reports a wave of profound, total peace, What does the modern data say is actually happening?
Okay.
Is the spiritual meaning of the words doing the work, or is it just the physics of the sound wave?
The data strongly suggests it is overwhelmingly the mechanics of the sound wave.
Wow, really?
Yeah. While intention and the psychological impact of the imagery definitely play a role, the biological heavy lifting is executed through brainwave entrainment.
Which we mentioned earlier.
Right. When researchers measure the frequencies involved in these practices, whether it's the deep rumble of a shamanic drum or the sustained resonant vowel sounds of an OM chant, they almost exclusively fall into a specific low-frequency band.
What's the range?
About 20 to 200 hertz.
Okay, so since we know the brain operates at different frequencies depending on our state of consciousness, what does that 20 to 200 hertz range physically force the brain to do?
It forces a gear shift. Our normal, waking, often anxious minds operate in higher frequency beta waves.
Right, the stress state.
Exactly. By introducing a continuous, powerful stimulus in that 20 to 200 hertz range, the auditory cortex entrains to the lower frequency.
It pulls it down.
Yes. It drags the brain's overall activity down into theta waves, which is the state of deep meditation, insight, and REM sleep.
That is amazing.
And prolonged exposure can even push it down to delta waves.
Yeah.
Those are associated with deep, restorative, dreamless sleep and profound physical healing. The brain really has no choice but to follow the dominant rhythm.
But the sources reveal an even more direct mechanical hack, and it has to do with the vagus nerve.
The vagus nerve is the key to all of this.
Since we already know the vagus nerve is the master switch for the parasympathetic nervous system, the question isn't what does it do, but how do we physically reach it?
And this is the brilliant simplicity of the ancient biohack. You cannot manually think your way out of a physiological panic attack.
Trust me, I've tried. It doesn't work.
Right. But the vagus nerve is a physical structure. It runs straight down from the brainstem through the vocal cords, the throat, the chest cavity, and alongside the diaphragm, connecting to almost every major organ.
So when you are hitting those deep, resonant vowel sounds in the Bisha mantras, or you're chanting the Shiva Tandava Stotram, you are physically vibrating all of those cavities.
Yeah.
You are essentially turning your own body into a tuning fork.
You are giving your internal nervous system a localized physical massage from inside out.
That is such a crazy concept.
It is. The vibration of the vocal cords and the diaphragm stimulates the vagal tone directly.
And when you massage the vagus nerve, it instantly flips the autonomic nervous system out of fight or flight mode and drops it right into rest and digest.
Instantly.
They didn't need functional MRI machines to figure out how to biohack human anxiety.
Not at all.
They just observed the inputs and outputs over thousands of years and figured out exactly which frequencies acted as the keys to the body's control panel.
It is a profound testament to ancient empirical observation. They mapped the precise auditory triggers required to manipulate human biology. They just used the language of deities, elements, and chakras to catalog the data instead of medical terminology.
It certainly makes you look at modern wellness trends in a completely different light.
Oh, for sure.
You read these texts, and then you see how these sacred practices have been adapted into weekend sound baths or like smartphone apps that play binaural beats to help you focus.
They're everywhere now.
Yeah. We even have clinical music therapy being utilized right now to soothe dementia patients by tapping into these exact same auditory neural pathways. Science has entirely validated the mechanism.
And it is undeniably positive that these tools are becoming widely accessible for stress relief and medical therapy.
Absolutely.
However, the sources do highlight a critical caveat regarding this rapid commercialization.
Right. What happens when you extract a sacred sound Dharma and turn it into a productivity playlist?
You risk diluting its true power and purpose. The physical benefits of stress relief are very real. But stripping these practices entirely of their spiritual core changes their trajectory.
It lowers the ceiling of what they can do.
Precisely. The original intent of the sound Dharma in the Shiva tradition was never just to help you relax after a difficult day, or to help you sleep better so you could be more productive the next morning.
Right.
The intent was to connect human consciousness with the ultimate reality of the universe. It was a technology built for absolute self-realization.
If we only use these profound tools as a quick fix for modern burnout, we are essentially using a supercomputer to play a game of Pong.
That's a great analogy.
We are utilizing the biological mechanism, but completely ignoring the cosmic connection it was originally designed to foster.
We are settling for the physical byproduct and leaving the ultimate profound benefit on the table.
Which brings us perfectly back to where we started. The idea that sound is the foundational building block of absolutely everything.
Everything.
As we wrap up this deep dive, there is one final concept from the tradition of Nada Yoga mentioned in the texts, and I really want you listening to carry this with you.
It's a beautiful concept.
It's the concept of the anahata nada. The ancient texts describe this as the unstruck sound or the silent sound of the universe.
The silent sound.
Yeah, they claim it is a continuous, eternal vibration echoing inside the space of the heart. So I have a challenge for you.
Let's hear it.
The next time you find yourself entirely alone, in a room with absolute total silence, I want you to listen closely. Are you actually hearing nothing? Or if you listen deeply enough, are you finally hearing the foundational vibration of everything?